Alright, welcome everybody. My name's Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and today we're doing a super cute unicorn, and we do have this painting kit on our website at tipsyartist.com, and it comes with all of your supplies and even some little fun things in there for your celebration. So here we go, let's go ahead and get started. I've got my trace already all done, and by the way, all of our paint kits come with a very easy traceable, so you do not have to know how to draw, so that's all good. I went ahead and placed mine on here to get started, and then I'm also going to show you some optional things that you can add here as well. So you can add a circle shape. So I just used a little washer, and your kit will come with a little permanent marker. So I'm going to do a few of these little circle shapes in here too. And you can do this part with a pencil as well if you're feeling a little bit unsure about it. I always vary it a little bit, have some full circles and some coming a little bit off the page, if you will. Alright, so we have some fun circle shapes in there. Now I'm also going to go ahead and refine this just a bit here. So this was initially done with pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and make these really pop with the permanent marker. I will say too that the cheeks can be a little bit softer and not so defined, so if you want to leave those and just pencil, that could also be another decision that you can make. Yay! Okay, All right, so, oh, you know what? I forgot a little part of the leg. Let's go ahead and do this. Now we're all set. All right, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start with the lightest part here on the inside of the unicorn. And I've got some titanium white to start with. And then this will be a really bright, pretty color in here. I'm going to go ahead and start to use some cadmium yellow. And let's go ahead and grab some cadmium orange. Got our white, we'll be using that too. And let's get some primary yellow as well. Alright, so let's talk about the brushes that we have here. The kit comes with, this is your brush set, and we've got Mama and Little Buddy and then Little Bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my Little Bit brush and add a little bit of water and go ahead and push into a tiny amount of the white, and let's grab a little bit of that orange because I'm going to make a really pretty peach color. I'm adding a little bit more water than I normally do because I want this to have a little bit of a watercolor feel to it. I'm going to touch into a little bit of that bright primary yellow. And now a little bit more water. I grabbed a little bit of the yellow and the white because I want a little bit of that to play with here too. And a little bit more water. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start to place this into the larger sections of the body of the horse here. And again, still using a little bit, I do a little bit of a push. But before I push down, I actually just very gently touch into that little point, and that allows the small part of the brush to touch into that small area. And then as I pull down, then I go ahead and apply a little bit more pressure, and then that will make those bristles fan out and cover more area there over that surface. And again, I do have a lot of water in this mix to make it a little bit more translucent than normal. And I've got my permanent marker that's made this to where it will bleed through the paint. So that just helps it be a lot more easy so that I don't have to do a lot of cut-in work around those little eyelashes. And we're all about little tricks that can make it easy along the way. And on this little winking eye here, if you happen to go over it a little bit, not a big deal, because we can always come back in when the paint dries and just realign that with our permanent marker. Before I get into the next portion here, we've got a little bit of some blending that happens back and forth. with a little hint of pink. So I'm going to go ahead and take some primary magenta. We'll do a little touch of that over here, a little pea-sized amount of that off to the side. A little bit of water, a little bit of that primary magenta, and I actually just push that into a little bit of that yellow and white too. And I go ahead and make my little circle cheeks here. And we'll do this for these little sections of the ears as well. And the pattern here, it kind of feels like you make a parentheses and another parentheses, and you just fill that in. All right, very lovely. Well, let's rinse out a little bit. Now this next section is quite a bit bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and use my mama brush, and we'll get some water here. A little bit more of that bright primary yellow and that white. And this bigger brush will just make it a lot easier to go ahead and work into this whole surface area. Again, right now it is mostly primary yellow and a little bit of the white. And then as I work, I'll touch into a little bit of that orange as well. Just gather a little bit of that too. Kind of crisscross that into the shading there. So now it kind of looks like I make little tiny little X's back and forth. Softly blend that. And you can see that I did a little bit of an overpaint over those lines, and that's not a big deal because they are still bleeding through because we did work them out with the permanent marker in advance. And I'm holding my brush a little bit more over to the side, parallel to the canvas, and just doing a little bit of soft feathering out and a little bit of a blend there with that paint. Alright, so we've got a good look happening here. I'm going to go ahead and rinse that out. Round and round and round, firm pressure that will help release that paint from the brush, and then I'll just dry it off here, set that off to the side. Alright, now let's go ahead and go back to our little dip brush. Grab a little bit of some water. Now just primary yellow, a little bit of white. And we're going to go ahead and make this little section here. We want it to be a little bit lighter, more contrasting with the darker shades of the rest of the unicorn horse. Alright, super cute. I'm going to add some brighter little light touches of that brighter yellow that come in over the top. And I've got certain sections here that are very bright yellow, so while I have this going on, I'm going to go ahead and work that in. There's our bright yellow. We have a little bit of bright yellow here in this last section of the mane. And then another little tip of bright yellow right here at the top of the unicorn horn. Alright, well done. Let's go ahead and rinse this out. Let's go ahead and work on some of our pink. So I've got my primary magenta here from before. There it is. Now let's do a little twist into the paint so that we rotate the head of the brush back into a nice fine point. And then we'll go ahead and work in these sections of the mane here that are this beautiful color. Again, this is our primary magenta. Another section right over here. Quite lovely. You can make that a little bit lighter too. I'm going to show you something so you can add a little bit of white to that. And that's pretty too. It makes it a bit more opaque. And then this little section here is also pink. So when in Rome, when we have our pink already loaded up, let's go ahead and take care of that. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and rinse out now. Okay, so now we need a little bit of some lavender. So we'll be using some violet. Still using our little bit blush, a little touch of white with that violet there. We're going to lighten it up just a little bit, bring it down to more of a lavender. And then we'll work that into this little section here. Gives that mane some nice variety. We're going to work on getting some blue in here now. Alright, so we will be using some of our primary cyan blue. Still using a little bit. A touch of water, a little touch of white. We're going to lighten up that blue with a little bit of our titanium white. Very pretty. All right, let's go ahead and do one little line here on the end and just kind of wisp it off. And then we'll do some blue here too. Very pretty. Okay, let's go ahead and do some of our peach up here. Grab it. Alright, nice clean brush. Let's grab a little bit more of the water and let's go back into our primary magenta. We're going to help define some of these little legs here. So we're just doing little thin lines right over where we see the lines that we did in the beginning where they kind of peek through. We're going to help redefine those with just a little bit of color. Feather this out a little bit. Back in with our primary yellow, a little touch of white. I'm just going to kind of crisscross this through right here in the center. And let's go ahead and grab, actually, you know what? I'm going to wait and do the black at the very end. Let's go ahead and do all of our, let's continue on with lights. And I always save the black till the very end. Okay, so let's do our beautiful light green. So here we go. We're going to be using some bright yellow green here. And I'm going to come back and find Mama. Grab a little bit of our white, add a touch of that to it. And then we'll paint this around those circles. In order to feather out the brush strokes and keep a nice opaque finish, we want to be turning our brush more over to the side, parallel to the canvas. And that'll give you a light, gentle hand, help you kind of feather out those brush strokes a little bit. And we want to use the Mama brush as much as we can, but in some of these areas, if they do become a little bit tight, We can come back in with our smaller brushes, our little buddy or our little bit. Move that back a little bit. That shadow was coming into our range of vision there. Want to be able to see what we're doing. Now, when it does get really tiny, one of the things that I do is I do some firm pressure. Flatten this brush out and see how it becomes very thin on the edge there. So you can do that, and then you can get into some of those tinier spots. Or again, just remember there's always a little bit too that can help you out with that. I go back over a little bit, check to make sure that you don't have any transparencies peeking through, and then you can just kind of turn that brush a little bit more over to the side again, feather those brush strokes out a little bit, and just get some nice thick coats over the top. Nice second coat there. Okay, so we're good on our background now. And it is optional to paint the circles white. You can let them be white as they are since the canvas is painted and primed white. Or you can come back over it with another coat of white over the top. I'll do one here to show you. So this is my mama brush. I cleaned it all up. And ideally you probably want to wait till this is dry so you don't have necessarily a blend, but then you can kind of push that in a circular motion. See how pretty that is? And then just kind of feather out those white sections there. Does add a nice finish to it. Yeah, you definitely hold it just straight down and then just push into that circle. If you do pick up a little bit of paint and just kind of wipe. Very pretty. Okay, so now we're going to come back in with our little bit brush and do some fine tuning here. I'm going to rinse out the rest of this white paint. Lots of firm pressure, around and around and around. And there we go. So now I need some Mars black. Little pea size amount of that. Little touch of water. Little bit brush. And you twist the head of your brush out so we can rotate the head of the brush into a nice fine point. And now some options here. You can either paint on the details here, or you can use a permanent marker that comes with the kit to also just redefine this. If you're a little bit nervous about a shaky hand, I would recommend the permanent marker. I'm going to go ahead and come back in to this black, Mars black with a little bit of water, twist it out, get a nice fine point. We're doing this with paint, so I'm going to go ahead and rework this little section. That's that little wink. And your eyelashes, just pull that out. The sections here on the nose is kind of like making a little tiny parentheses and then another parentheses. And those connect. Very gentle hand as you do this. And then I'm going to go ahead and work on a few of these little outlines. I think it helps them kind of pop out to the surface. We're almost done here, just a few more little lines. And then we are done. So cute! Our fun little unicorn. Alright y'all, so we are done with this cutie. And everything that you need for this paint kit is on our website, tipsyartist.com. It has been a pleasure painting with y'all today. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the chat and I'll get back with you just as soon as I can. But y'all have a beautiful rest of the day and we will see you soon. Toodles!